Every live event is filled with moments of excitement. LiveSource is a new game-changing app that allows you to create auctions instantly during these moments, as the crowd's excitement is at a fevered pitch.
Comes back with his second triple of the game.
Imagine, after spectacular moments, you could remove any item from the field of play and place it into a live auction in less than a minute while the game is still on. Imagine the fans in attendance bidding on and winning one-of-a-kind memorabilia and experiences from that event while the event is still going on. LiveSource handles the heavy lifting so that there are no limits on what can be sold or when it can be sold. Auctions can be created in less than 60 seconds, at which time the app immediately notifies fans to start bidding, determines the winning bidder, and arranges payment and delivery moments later. Excite your audience with highly shareable moments. Motivate more fans to attend your event, increase revenue. With LiveSource, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3.
All right, back for another show. It seems like I've had a lot of baseball people lately, and I've got another one. And maybe it's just because I was most recently involved in baseball, so now I need to I want to learn more. So I've got the general manager of the Lansing Lugnuts, which is a cool name and logo, by the way, Tyler Parsons. How's it going, Tyler?
It's going good, Andrew, man. I appreciate you having me on, and any chance we get to talk a little bit of baseball, but more importantly, the business side of some things. I'm all about it.
Yeah, no, it's fun. And I love seeing kind of the journey that people, take to get to their careers. My career path was totally unique, where I started out as an owner very young. And so I didn't really have an internship and work my way up. But I've had those people, with me. So it's like, I always like to see the journeys and there's a common thread a lot. And I'm sure even with yours, just, relationships and how important they are to, to make sure they're proper for growth. But, kind of start off with just kind of where you're from and how you got into sports. Like, was it in college and did you play?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a small little podunk town in Michigan here, about 20 minutes from Lansing, called Dansville, and I get to tell people it's a farm town. Like literally, our mascot was the Aggies, which is the short for agricultural, because that's just all that was around it. I mean, I joke around with people. We literally had a corn stalk growing in our football field at one point in time, and there's no track at the field or anywhere at the facility. You had to go travel to a different school to practice like track and field and stuff. But went to Dansville and then had a chance to end up going to Central Michigan, which is my alma mater for both my undergrad and graduate school. And had a great time at CMU, as I think most people do when they go to college, and had a chance to really learn. And initially went to get into journalism and wanted to be, a sports writer on the media side. And once I started kind of diving into sports more in depth at that level, I realized how much I enjoyed the operational part and just kind of, working in sports opposed to writing and covering it. And that really kind of became my love. And it really happened for me my freshman year. And I'm one of those unique people that, when I was young, identified what I wanted to do and never really lost track of that as I kind of went through college or had any major changes. I got my degree in sport management and dual management there with a marketing degree, and kind of did a little bit similar to you did. I never actually had an internship. I actually started a company at the time. It would have been Central Michigan's Rivals.com site called Chippewa Country, and was able to kind of, get some inroads and create some connections through that and grow my career as a starting point, and really took off from there. But wanted to work in sports instead of writing about it. And at one point in time, I kind of wanted to get into coaching, and then I realized how much money you make coaching to start off with. And I was like,
in baseball or what sport?
Actually, was a football guy.
Okay.
My claim to fame at CMU a little bit. I was a volunteer for the CMU football program back in 2009, which, I always tell people you have your coaches, you have your assistants, you have like your interns and quality control. there's dirt, and then there was like me. But I was there at the time when Butch Jones was the head coach, and then we had a couple players. Antonio Brown was wide receiver there, and kind of our glory days. And then had a lot of fun being around that program and just seeing some of the dynamic personalities and where they've ended up at. So.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So football, baseball.
Little known fact for everyone here is it would have been the year before that, but 2008, Central Michigan actually had Antonio Brown on offense, and actually J.J. Watt was part of that team. He was a freshman tight end and ended up transferring to Wisconsin. And I think that's one that they would have loved to keep at CMU, knowing what he's become now.
Well, I was just at the Bucks final game, and Antonio Brown had 2 touchdowns and a heck of a game. And he looks like he's having fun out there right now. So
he is. I had a chance to get to know him a little bit throughout our time at CMU, and I'll tell you, as an athlete, so explosive. One of those people that it passes the 100-yard test, which I always tell people, you can look at him from 100 yards away and just go, that guy's a different level of athlete.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, that's cool to hear. Football, I kind of the same thing. I looked at one point, probably back in about 2002, 2003, I was considering a coaching position in the AF2, which was like Arena League 2. And, it was 15, 20 grand a year. And, I got married young and had a kid young. So I was like, it's just not going to be the route I went. So I ended up going the other route, getting the front office. So how did
I remember it, Andrew? I want to say I was a sophomore or junior. We had to do like one of those sports interviews where they go interview someone in sports. So I ended up getting connected to a guy who worked for the Grand Rapids Rampage, which was an arena football league. And I remember he started off and goes, basically, did you play college football? I go, no. He goes, well, you're not going to have any future coaching. I'm like, all right, well, this is a dream killer. So maybe that's where my dream for coaching ended up stopping, was due to the arena football.
You don't have to bully me. Be nice.
I was like, all right, hey, just tell me to go a different direction,
Well, it's cool to see though now, just on the coaching front. Like I noticed, the offensive coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts, Nick Sirianni, he went to Mount Union, which is a small D3 school, but like a powerhouse in football. He played for me in 2005.
Wow.
In indoor football. And so it's just kind of cool. That was his first year out of school. And then now he's the offensive coordinator. Matt Nagy up in Chicago is a former arena football guy that is head coach. But it's kind of crazy to see that kind of, guys that you work with back then kind of getting those spots. But anyway, off topic. So how did you kind of transition from that media side and kind of, being your own boss with the site to get into sports?
Yeah, it's I owe a lot of my start to a guy named Mike Dabbs, who at the time was at CMU in the marketing department. And, obviously spent a couple of years just around people in the program. I had a chance to get to know people. And I remember I came to him one day and just said, hey, I'd love to take the next step and find a way to get involved in the athletic department. And, he took a shot on me and brought me on as a ticket sales consultant, I think at the time, which was almost completely commission-based, but hired me without a single day of training. He goes, all right, we like this guy's personality. And, I stepped right in and, became part of the ticket sales team there at Central Michigan. And then, was part of the transition as we came into IMG College and that partnership with them. But it really kind of got my start. I had done some internships, or not internships, but some lower level roles. I worked at Mid-Michigan Community College, which was a local community college before that had a cool opportunity to bring sports back. They had no sports, and they're like, all right, we're going to bring back men's and women's basketball and men's and women's soccer as a starting point for us to bring sports back to the fold. And had a chance to be part of that. Maybe one of the worst sports teams we ever had. We had some amazing people. They busted their butts, but our women's soccer team had so many challenges, especially from a facility and practice standpoint. They had so many disadvantages, and I think we got outscored 202 to 3 or something like that during the season, and actually ended up becoming a pretty successful program. But they didn't have near as much practice time and a lot of preparation as they probably needed and deserved, and had some growing pains for sure. But and I worked at a local local high school, doing scheduling, helping out with the athletic director there, and helped coach the 8th grade football team a little bit, and weight room and recess, and would substitute teach wherever they needed me, and kind of get that foot in the door,
Almost like minor league sports, right?
Yeah. It was all their duties assigned. I found that early on, and kind of went from there. But I started at CMU with Mike Dabbs, and then spent some time working at the athletic department there, and had a chance to dabble in some marketing and that kind of stuff, and kind of decided I had spent my enough time at Central Michigan and wanted to spread my wings a little bit. And ironically, it's one of the things that I tell a lot of kids now is, the sport you're most passionate about. For me at the time, it was football. Well, I found out when you work in football, you don't get to enjoy it near as much as you do. You'd be at the stadium at 5 a.m. and you leave after the game, and you're just so tired and exhausted, and you're just always working it. So for me, baseball was a sport that I enjoyed, but I wasn't necessarily as invested as a fan. And what really drew me to baseball too, from the minor league side, was that perfect combination of entertainment and competition. We still want to win and lose, but no one's calling me after a game and going, "Hey, you guys got beat 11-0. You need to fire your coach." Like, people aren't that invested, right?
That's good. I've had that happen.
Yeah. When you get to the wins and losses, that people are like really, really invested in it, it's just like, hey, everyone needs to chill out for a second.
Well, the whole goal is, sell fun, So when you got, you kind of went from, the media side, more information, to the sales side.
Yep.
How was that transition for you?
Oh, I mean, it was rough at first. You're as anyone knows, when you go from, I don't want to say the glamorous side, but on the media side, you get catered to a little bit, and there's definitely elements. And the sales side, not to say that it's not glamorous, but it's hard work, especially.
Grind. Yeah.
I tell people probably why they hired me. I was probably the only person that would accept on at this time, but we're trying to sell football games in the MAC on like Tuesday nights in November. And it's like these MAC games, you're like, hey, these are tough to sell right now to get out. And, hey, your alternative option is you can watch on ESPN2 and HD or something. So to this day, I still tell people that was the hardest sell I ever had, was these midweek MAC games back in the Central Michigan days. But they really forced me to challenge myself. I mean, I remember being a 22, 23-year-old kid rolling into, Chamber of Commerce's and all these business meetings in cities and towns that I'd never been to, and, printing out my MapQuest directions on paper and trying to figure out where.
Come on, man. You're not that old. Come on.
I am that old, man.
Come on.
Maybe I was just that technology, not advanced, I guess. But it really just challenged me to grow and find, that way to drive success. Because, when you're in sales and they say, hey, you are your own revenue, they mean it. If you don't sell, you're not getting a paycheck. And that's kind of what it was there. And, again, that really opened my eyes to the revenue generation portion of sports, and said, hey, if you want to grow and continue to advance your career and to have that stability, there's no better place to be than revenue generation. It's hard to get rid of people, or hard to not advance people that affect that bottom line.
Yeah, no, I mean, and, it's a lot of these smaller, teams, even everyone's selling no matter what, I just had someone on the show the other day. I can't remember which team they were with, but it was like, I mean, the PR person, everybody had to hit something. And, it definitely, it's probably the easiest way to find your way into it, because it's the most available jobs. Not that it's easy to get into, especially right now.
Yeah, no kidding.
I just posted last week on LinkedIn, like, hey, if you're looking for something in sports, post in the comments. I'll see if I could try to help connect. I was thinking I'd have like a dozen people. It's like over 2,000 comments. It's coming up on like 400,000 views in the week. I'm like, it's crazy. So there's a lot of really good people out there right now.
There are, and that was a really cool thing. I had a chance to see that on your LinkedIn and just how that spread. And it's definitely a positive, but man, is it eye opening for
exactly
just how many people are looking for opportunities, and just what COVID and the impact this has had on our industry. It's been tough to see a lot of really good people, and we've had to make tough decisions here too. But it's been the hardest part about all of this, I think.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Especially when people are losing positions due to no fault of their own, and at the same time, it's like you can't really get mad at the organizations either. I mean, you know, the owners are taking a bath, right now. It's just not good. So hopefully it's it looks like it's heading in the right direction. So, but I want to go back to like your first job outside of college. I mean, you moved away too. I mean, so that's that's a little scary, right? Your first time, or were you all about ready to just like, you think you outgrown the town and now you're ready to go?
I was, I think for me, it was the chance to travel and explore some new places. I think I look back to it now, and it's one of the things that I tell students, hey, you got to be willing to move anywhere and explore any opportunity. And it's not always the most glamorous, but I had a chance, and I kid you not, my first title outside of CMU was director of fun, and had a chance to work for a guy who was a great mentor for me, Jesse Cole, who a lot of people know now works for the Savannah Bananas and is their owner down there, and the yellow tuxedo, and came down for an interview, and him and I just meshed right off the bat and said, hey, let's bring this energy and how we can bring fun and change the sport of baseball. And director of fun was a great title to get your foot in the door. It was definitely a conversation starter, and I'll never forget Jesse Cole, my interview. I kid you not, brings me down, says we're going to go out to dinner, and he picks me up and we go out to eat. And he unknowingly or knowingly to him brought me to a young professional networking event on my job interview. And we
wanted to see how you were going to network.
We walk in and he literally just left me. He goes, all right, I'll catch up in like an hour. And I just went and sat down at the table and met some people and networked. And, he left me kind of to do my own thing. And he was part of the group. And he joked around. I don't think he's ever done that since then. It just happened to work out. But he wanted to see how I mixed around with people. And to this day, I still think I'm on the Gaston County JC's email newsletter that they send out for my personal email. But had a chance to work with Jesse and a guy named Jeremy Bowler, who was another great mentor of mine, and with the Forest City Owls. I lived in Shelby, North Carolina, which, when you see your
heard of it, don't know where it's at.
It's mostly known for the home of Kenny Powers from the East Mountain town. But most people, you see your friends, they go live in Chicago or Los Angeles, and I'm here in Shelby, North Carolina, which you want to go get a beer, you go to Applebee's at the time and things like that. It was not the most glamorous place, but man, really opened my eyes to that small town community and how important these smaller cities and towns view, minor league sports to the fabric of what they do. And was there for a year and had a chance to then go to Martinsville, Virginia, to be the GM for a team with the Martinsville Mustangs, and again work with Jesse, and went on to Johnson City, Tennessee with the Johnson City Cardinals, which was a St. Louis Cardinals affiliate at the time, and then finally back here to Lansing.
So how Martinsville, was that collegiate wooden bat as well?
Correct. Yeah, that was a summer collegiate team in the Coastal Plain League, and again another place. I don't think I would be where I'm at today or have the background and experience and just the mindset without that year in Martinsville. Love the community and love the people there. Very, very challenging. I think when I was there, the unemployment rate was right around 17, 18%.
Wow.
Just had been crippled, a lot of brain drain. Stadium needed a lot of work. It was a tough facility, but we made the most of it. And some of my favorite times in sports are looking back to Martinsville. And this is a guy who's, started startup teams. We had, I think, 3 people that were involved in that. I was the only employee that was there all the time. We had like 4 other interns, and like we made it work and found a way and had a lot of fun. And it was a unique year for sure.
What kind of differences were there from going from, the collegiate to like the affiliated with the Johnson City?
I think probably the biggest piece is you start, once you get to that professional rank and these guys are paid and under contract, and with professional teams, there's so much more, care given to the players and what they do and their innings and what they're eating and travel and lodging, and it becomes much more about the business side of things, opposed to just the opportunity to play and kind of have a home during the summer. definitely on the player side. And then of course you're dealing with a higher level league and administration. You're talking directly to like the St. Louis Cardinals now instead of a league commissioner or some college coaches and recruiting coordinators, and just different levels there. But really on the player side was probably the area I'd say the biggest difference was.
On the business side, pretty similar as far as promotional nights and just partnership sales, ticket sales, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think you're that level right there. You're very similar facilities. I mean, a lot of the summer collegiate teams in the Coastal League were old, Appalachian League or old minor league stadiums that teams left or went to a different market. So you've got a similar footprint, similar history there, and you probably have a similar demographic in the town and city and population size. I mean, the only difference really you're going to have there is going to be these guys are getting paid under contract and are prospects for a major league team, and these guys are collegiate prospects right now who are, one step below that rung right now and kind of developing. So, which is, I think the Appy League now is actually going to be a summer collegiate wood bat league in a partnership with Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I saw that. I've really noticed a lot of collegiate teams kind of popping up, or even independent pro teams converting to collegiate teams over the last few years. So, something I started looking into just because I was like, it's kind of an interesting business model.
It is, man. And summer collegiate baseball is I don't want to say it has a lack of respect sometimes from people in professional baseball, but I cut my teeth there, and we put together a pseudo summer collegiate league here this past summer in 2020 when the minor league season was canceled, and I still think it's a lot of fun. I still think it's very, very marketable, and I think you're going to have a great, level of prospects coming through, and the economics of it can definitely work. I think it's a fun league to kind of mess around and try some things out, and it comes down to the operators and your ability to market and kind of connect with the community. And I think obviously Jesse and his team now in Savannah have proven that a summer collegiate team can make just as much noise as an independent or professional team.
Yeah, no, I think he's done a good job down there. There's a couple teams in that league that really do a good job. When you went from Martinsville to Johnson City, kind of same role GM, did you have different responsibilities? Like with Johnson City, did you have more staff, or was it all kind of still this pretty similar where you were doing a lot of the everything?
My first year in Johnson City, I doubled my staff from what I had in Martinsville, which I went from 1 to 2. So,
so I made it, Mom. I made it.
I got to pass off something. Had a chance to hire a guy there. One of the best people I've ever worked with, and one of my best friends, a guy named Zach Clark, who's now the GM down there in Johnson City. And it's very rare to get a chance to hire a guy that not only is someone already before, but is a friend, and you kind of get a chance to redevelop and bring a team back to life together and have some fun with it. And you always look back to those days in Johnson City when you just kind of tag teamed it and brought this team back from the dead a little bit and ended up getting some facility renovations and putting that market back on the map as a minor league city. So still wore a lot of different hats. I mean, there's times where you're going to do a little bit of everything from cleaning a grill to, soaking up the field. I mean, I remember times having, old couch cushions and trying to soak up water on the field so we could play a game, and, fixing cracks. I told my wife the other day, I learned how to sew when I was in Johnson City because I had to fix pants once in a while, but I didn't want to go hire and spend the money on a seamstress to go fix these. So a little bit of everything, as you wear all the different hats, and you never know what surprise you're going to get any given day.
How did the Lansing position come about? Was that just something that was posted and you applied, or was that through, your network?
It was kind of through a headhunter, I guess, in the sense that, I had been talked to a guy named Nick Greaser, who was the GM and president here for a number of years, and another great mentor of mine. We'd talked before and kind of been like, hey, I don't really want to come back to the hometown. I came down south. I enjoy it down here, and appreciate any opportunities or interest, but I'm, leave Johnson City. I want it to be a place that, I still have the same quality of life and the things that I enjoy, which, was not as much snow and the mountains and outdoor recreation opportunities. So we actually met. We were at the promo seminar at the time in Greenville, South Carolina, and just started talking. And really, he was headhunting, trying to find somebody, and was asking me if I knew anybody. And we were sitting there in a room. He goes, "How about you? What do we got to do to make this happen?" And we just started talking. And I said, "All right, well, I'll come back and go to the stadium and just take a look at it, and we'll talk." And worst case scenario for me, I get a home cooked meal from grandma, and I go back down south. And really for me, it was a chance to see how much development had happened here in Lansing, and reconnect with some family that I spent almost a decade away from, thousands of miles away, and it just felt right. And I think when you have an opportunity to take over the minor league team in your hometown, it's just such a cool thing. And to say I grew up in the 517 and now I get to be the GM of the Lansing Lugnuts, I mean, it'd be dumb to pass that opportunity up. And I've been very, very fortunate. Had a chance to meet my wife when I came back to Lansing here, and it just all worked out, and it was the right decision at the time. And I always joke, this is a true story. I told him I needed a week to think about it. I was on a backpacking trip in Colorado with a buddy, and I said I told him when we were driving around and camping and hiking that if I did right, I'll get the time. Was hiking in Aspen, Colorado, in the Maroon Bells, out in the middle of nowhere. Probably saw 5 people, and I bumped into a guy with a Michigan State shirt and a Lansing Lugnuts hat.
No way.
And I go, he was a Michigan State fan, and he goes, "My son just came to school here, but I can't support everything Michigan State. I had to buy something else from the hometown there," and had a Lugnuts hat. And I'm like, what are the chances, right? So that was kind of my hitch in the face kind of sign.
That's pretty cool. When you were a kid, was like Lansing Lugnuts your team, or what's the history of the team?
Yeah, it was. I went my first baseball game was a Lugnuts game. And I remember I told Tom, our owner, this story when they brought me in here. My dad told me he was taking me to a baseball game, and I had it in my head, I'm like, we're going to the Tigers. We're going to a Tigers game. We're here to Lansing, and I was like, this is not the Tigers. What is going on? Like, I'm upset. I'm like, this is not the Detroit Tigers. And I was pouting the entire time. We walked in the gates, and I was just being a brat, and once the game started and you kind of felt the energy, I had no idea I was at a Lugnuts game and not at a Detroit Tigers game. And it was my first experience in a minor league stadium, and grew up a Lugnuts fan, and couldn't tell you anything about any of the players I ever saw here. I just know I had a great time every time I came.
And that's the whole key. I mean, that's
Yep.
what I love about the business is you just create those memories too. And now you have those memories from, your childhood and spending time with family. And my family was really big about sporting events as a kid. So my mom is a huge baseball fan. So she would take me a lot to Phillies games, because I grew up in Pennsylvania. And it's just, those are some of the best times, I remember, is just sporting events.
Well, it's such a part of your upbringing and part of that community feel. And you always look back, and it's amazing the memories you can think back as a kid that you remember. And a lot of times it's your sporting events, or going to an event, whether that's at a baseball stadium or a football stadium, or it's some sort of festival or carnival. You remember those moments where you're out there doing something fun with a group of people. And I think it's one of those things that we really took for granted, and you can't have it this year in 2020. It's like, man, we lose those opportunities to bring communities together and bring people together for kind of a common thing to root for.
Yeah, no, it definitely is taking a hit, but I think it's cool what we're able to do. Now think about it. You have those memories. Now you're helping create thousands of memories a year, thousands and thousands. So it's a rewarding side of the business, I think. But how hard was it this off season, with COVID? I know for me in Virginia, it was the staff is all pretty young there. So they were worried, and, everybody, they didn't know what was going on. So just from, the business side, worrying about staff, and, I know that a lot of people got cut there. And then just trying to figure out, how to salvage, something, because you're talking about millions of dollars that are either needing to be refunded or rolled over. And it makes it tough for everyone involved.
Yeah. I mean, 2020 was what a roller coaster is. I tell people you get up these highs and lows and you're kind of, trying to figure things out, and definitely challenging. I think if there's one thing I learned in kind of a managerial role this year is that I don't know is an acceptable answer sometimes. And, I think this year more than ever, our staff and people around you and ticket holders and, sponsors and, the community and the cities, they all want to know when you're going to play and what's going to happen and what's your capacity going to be and how are you going to handle these things. And sometimes you just don't know. And that's kind of how it was this entire year. And it was really different state by state. I think it was probably one of our challenges we had here in Michigan was, we're watching, teams and organizations in Texas or Iowa or Wisconsin that are able to do things and bring their communities together in a safe way because of the restrictions they have. And it's not right or wrong either way. It's just, some places had more opportunities to do some things opposed to other places. And, people naturally want to compare, well, hey, why can't we do this if they're doing that?
Right.
Groups want to say, hey, well, they brought 1,000 people. Why can't we do that here? And the important thing for us was to be, hey, we're going to go with the most relevant information we have. We're going to talk to the people that are making these decisions, and we're going to, do the most we possibly can. We were always kind of prepared here for a plan B. I think that's just natural as an administrator. Hey, we may start a minor league season, but what if we don't? And we really started talking about a plan B and how we can pivot. I know that's the key word in 2020, but really sometime in probably early May, late April, and said, hey, if we don't actually have a minor league season, what are we going to do? Because we still owe it to the community here to do something in the stadium and to use it as an asset. So that's where we kind of came up with the idea of the Lemonade League, which was, hey, when baseball gives you lemons, make lemonade. And we started our own, self-contained summer collegiate league. We played 20 games here. Our capacity was only 100 people. Sold out every game, which is what I'm going to tell people.
Sold out. That's the only thing people need to know.
20 game sellout streak. And what allowed us to really, when you start up your own league and your own team is you get a chance to play with the rules a little bit. So we're like, we're going to play with a yellow baseball. We're going to do 7 innings. We're not going to do any extra innings. We're going to go straight to a home run derby. And we, there's games where we get down to like the 5th inning. We're like, you know what? We're going to make up a rule today right now. We're going to go down. We'll talk to both coaches and we just do it. And we really wanted to press the boundaries and to change, how baseball maybe was viewed a little bit, but we wanted to make sure we put a product out there that was different than what the Lansing Lugnuts were. And there was no really apples to apples or lemon to lemon comparison on that. And had a lot of fun with it. We did over 18 movie nights here. We did a couple private events, and we rode this roller coaster. Our capacity in the summer never could go over 100. In the fall, we got a chance to go up to like 1,000. We played a Lemonade League Fall Classic game here, which was like the only cold day in October. It was like 30 degrees, and we had like 500 people here. And we did a movie night on Wednesday. I don't want to say it was the worst event I've ever done, but it was definitely top 2. We had like 7 people here to watch Mean Girls, which is like things you can't make up. But we were able to do a free flu shot clinic with our partners at Meyer here. And we just wanted to make sure that, hey, when this hit and the pandemic came in and everyone was in dire straits, and ourselves included, but hey, we've built our reputation on being an economic driver in downtown Lansing here. Let's do whatever we possibly can, not only for the community, but for our survival. If we can generate some money, we can keep some more people here. We can generate some revenue and do some things that, help set us up better for 2020, 2021 and beyond. And, I had a saying out there, 2020 was survival the most creative. It's the people that are willing to get outside the box and go, hey, this is how we can do it, not how the challenges are going to stop us from doing that.
So in your role now, how is it structured? Like, what's your focus day to day? I take it that, you have much larger staff probably with this organization than prior, maybe double or triple, or maybe even a lot more. But so how has that changed and that adjustment for you? Because then it just becomes like you have to, really hone in your leadership skills when you start adding that kind of staff.
Yeah, we in a normal year here in Lansing, we're between usually 25 and 30 full-time staff. We're nowhere near that right now, unfortunately, due to the pandemic. We've had to make changes and have people take on multiple roles. And right now we're all kind of in that, hey, how can we spread out our duties and really plug these holes in the boat until we can get back to close to fully operate. I don't know when we'll ever get back to that level of staffing. Again, we're going to all have to kind of adjust as we kind of, our business changes and grows. But, right now it's prioritizing, 4 or 5 things, and then really the juggling act of filling holes where we need to. I mean, we're in the process of hiring, kind of a social media fan engagement person right before the pandemic hit. We ended up not filling that role. I spend way more time posting on our social media now than I expected I was going to have to, but it's an area where you want to step up and kind of fill in that gap. And, from our marketing efforts, and we've all had to cook hot dogs again this year, and, just get back to
it's got a little fun every now and then, take you back to those younger years when you had to do everything.
Oh yeah. You go up and you get some experience and you kind of know what to expect. But our entire staff here has done an amazing job of adapting and not complaining and taking on multiple duties and finding ways to make things happen. And I think that's the biggest strength any team can have is, hey, how can we build a team of Swiss Army knives that, if something like this does hit, we don't have people that are strategically, focused on one thing, because, we're going to have to evolve and figure out how to divide these pies up. We're not going to be able to have a full-time spot for all these places. And our staff's done an amazing job at that. It's been a challenging year to kind of be a leader when you can't have these giant staff meetings with all these people in the same room, these rah-rahs, and you have as many of these interpersonal conversations where you're talking to a person in the room and you're giving high fives and that kind of stuff. And of course, this year you're delivering a lot of bad news. I mean, it's just, it's hard to be a favorite of anything right now when you're constantly, hey, yeah, we can't do this or we can't do that, and the season's canceled. And the important thing again is to stay optimistic and find ways to be creative and engage everybody. So we're moving forward with whatever capacity we have the ability to do so. I know it's a cheesy cliche like leadership answer, but it really is.
No, but I mean, and I think now too, it's a great time for teams to really start looking at content creation and kind of getting creative and getting outside of, the norm of what teams have been doing. I mean, with technology like what we're doing and, all the new tech stuff, I mean, there's so many opportunities for teams to kind of, engage fans now without being in the ballpark, 70 days. And so hopefully teams start getting that. And, social media and digital is such a great way to engage and continue to brand yourself.
You're dead on. And you know this, working in minor league baseball, we have not done a good enough job of that. We have been so focused on, hey, we're the market where you come out to the stadium and have a great time and we do some crazy things. And like all of a sudden, and we can't have fans in the stands. We were not near as prepared as some other industries were to handle that. And it's really, challenged us to find these digital alternatives and ways we can add value to our fans' experience without actually having to be physically inside the stadium here.
Yeah, it's so many different challenges. And then the other challenge, which is crazy, is just the whole MLB situation. Yeah. I mean, so like, I know that was like a big unknown for a while, and then the shuffling around. And how did you guys make out in that process? Are you same affiliate or and same level?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, if we needed more curveballs, pun intended, for this year, say we're going through a pandemic and also a complete reorganization of our entire structure, and yeah, that was tumultuous. I would say that was almost as stressful as the pandemic, because we knew there was this cloud over everybody that, hey, they're going to cut some teams. We're going to lose some teams from minor league baseball. And, we always felt like we were in a great spot here in Lansing, both geographically and, just with our facility and the way we've ran, that we were going to be in a good spot. But you just never know. I mean, you never know until you start seeing things. So we're in the process right now, as I think, Fredericksburg was, where we've all received an invite letter and it says, hey, we're inviting you to be part of so-and-so affiliation and this level. And for us, we did get a curveball thrown there. We were a Toronto Blue Jays affiliate for 15 years here. We are now an Oakland A's affiliate, pending this invite letter we have right now. And we're just kind of reviewing it like the other 120 teams are to kind of see what the options are, if this is the best deal for us and this makes sense for Lansing moving forward. I think it probably will, and we're excited to be with the Oakland A's. But what a weird twist. But I'm just happy to have that part of it kind of settled a little bit. But I feel bad for the teams that were cut and the communities that lost baseball, and the way some of the stuff went down, where they're finding out via social media that they're not affiliated anymore, and it's always tough, especially for me. Obviously, growing up and with the Johnson City Cardinals there, and this was a big part of my career, and seeing that affiliation go away, and I feel for those communities, but it's all part of the transition right now, and hopefully greener pastures ahead here in 2021 and beyond.
Yeah, definitely tough decisions being made. And, it's tough because I see both sides. It's like you see the business side of it, and how can it be more efficient? And, especially when, teams are, it's more of a challenge now than ever to put butts in seats at every level. I mean, there's, this is the biggest probably competition. People can just go on their phone and do just about anything they want. So getting creative and just, kind of tightening things up. I think probably on the long run will be helpful. It sucks now. And, it's more people too that, are out of jobs that, might have still been in that mix with COVID. So hopefully, I've started seeing teams post job, so it's like slowly people are kind of starting to backfill some of those spots. So have you guys been at a point where you guys are like selling, or are you guys just more or less just doing community types marketing and trying to stay relevant until the schedule's out and things like that?
We're actively selling right now, but it's a very cautious way. We're reaching out to people and say, hey, we don't have a schedule yet. We know we're going to be a high A affiliate of the Oakland A's in all likelihood, and this is when we think our season's probably going to start, and we're kind of taking deposits, fully refundable deposits of like $100 right now to say, hey, basically when things get in place and we have the finalized decisions to move forward with our 2021 season, you're going to have the first priority for your venues or your seats, because we are expecting some variation of capacity restrictions or something in place that we're not going to come back at normal. I think we're all crazy to think that even that we're going to come back to
it's a different
capacity, unless we're in Texas, I think.
Florida, we don't care down here.
Florida,
hell, we're nuts around here.
And we're selling. We're obviously having discussions with partners right now about ways to change values and what we can find that's a better fit for them, and to make their needs met for their packages, and talking to new partners as well that might come on board here moving forward. Just knowing that we're going to have some different stages here to start off with than we kind of have been with minor league baseball and venues and filling your stadiums before. But I think we have to be communicating to people, and that's one thing we've always prided ourselves here in Lansing is, hey, we're going to reach out to every ticket holder and every sponsor, everybody, and communicate with them, every couple of weeks, just to make sure, hey, even if we have no update, here's what we know now. And that way they're not caught off guard when they see something or something pops up, because we all know now everything breaks via social media, and no one ever knows the heads up anymore. So
no, we didn't get the memo yet. It's almost here. So what are some of the biggest things that you look for when you are looking to bring people in to your staff? Like, is there like key characteristics that are top priority for you? And I know with different positions, there's probably different things, but just overall, like, for the young people that are out there watching, like, what kind of stuff do you look for?
I think the two biggest things for us here really are outside the box thinking. I want people that are always constantly challenging the norm. Hey, we've done this for this way for this number of years, but that's good enough all the time. That doesn't mean we can't do something differently. And people that are willing to constantly bring ideas, and this is how we should do it, or we should try this idea, and really thinking outside the box. I think it's it's different for people to say, hey, I have a thought or I want to tweet something, than say, hey, here's an idea I have and here's how it's formulated and here's how it can be executed. I think that's a whole separate skill set. So we want people that, have a wide imagination, and that's the one perk in minor league baseball. We can try almost anything here and not make the headlines.
Well, you do make the headlines.
Yeah, the headlines. Yeah, not knock on wood. I mean, there's definitely been some examples out there, I think, but it's the fun, it's the promotions, or hey, we want to try selling it this way. I mean, we were one of the first teams and had a staff member here who pushed the ballpark pass idea. We were the first minor league team that did like the monthly subscription and like be willing to step outside the box and try some things. We've done, all you can eat tickets here. And I think it's just constantly trying and pushing things and thinking outside the box. And the other thing I think is, we touched on this earlier, and you might agree with this, is just a sense of entitlement that goes away. I mean, you're going to have some days here where you're going to do something that you really don't want to do. And it's not always going to be, hey, this is what I signed up for that was on my, job description. There's going to be some times we want people to step up and do some things, and that happens from the top level down. I mean, even in my role here in Lansing, I've scrubbed toilets and I've power washed things that I, don't want to talk about on camera. And it's it's not always the most glamorous, but you have to be all in.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's important. You kind of mentioned it. So talk to me about some of your top promos that you've had, like, maybe like from, the strangest, funniest to, most successful.
Man, strangest one and probably the funniest one. This is one I still can't believe my owner gave us permission to do. And it's probably one of my favorite stories of all time. It would have been 2019, I think. We did a purge night. And it was a random Thursday in April. And the promotion basically was at some random time during the game for an entire half inning. We're going to sound off the purge siren, like from the movies, and all concessions are going to be free for the next half inning. And we're like, okay, we're gonna give this a whirl. And then, again, it was on a thirsty Thursday in April, not normally one of our hot selling days.
Right.
Freezing cold that day, but we had a ton of college students that showed up and had a pretty big crowd here. Luckily, it wasn't a lot bigger because we found out some strategic problems we had. But come to find out, some of our concessions people, not any fault of their own, had kind of tipped off people. So they started lining up. So we changed it up in the script. Right, we're going to do it in the bottom of the sixth, I think. And Andrew, I kid you not, we played the longest half inning ever. We had a grand slam in the thing. It was like 35, 40 minutes, and we just got hammered. But it created a lot of fun publicity. I remember we had a live news shot here, and they're talking about the purge night during the national anthem as it's going on in the background, which you can just it just played into the feed. Had a lot of fun. A lot of teams reached out and asked us how it was. I said it was great. You guys should try it, just because I wanted to see someone else do it, honestly. my concession manager here, he would probably murder me if we did that one again. We got a lot of fanfare. We won a golden bobblehead here with one of my babies. Just one of my favorite promotions of all time was our backyard baseball night, where we did the Pablo Sanchez bobblehead, and the team voted and changed our team to the Mighty Wombats, and had a huge crowd here for that. And one of the most successful bobbleheads that we've ever done, maybe in minor league baseball. I think with Barstool Sports, it still sits in their fish tank that they have for their live show, and I've been seeing these things get sold on eBay and everything for like $200.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Had a lot of fun with that one. We did a tribute to Burt Reynolds night last year. Going back to my time in Johnson City, we did an Oregon Trail night where we buried gold in the infield, let fans come down and dig for like the diamond. But I forgot where I buried the gold, and it was so hard. It took these people like an hour to dig it out, and all his fingers and stuff. And
so how often, though, just so people know out there, you're like, damn, this is one of the best ideas, and it's like a total bust? I mean, because it has to I mean, all the promos that baseball teams do, it's like the ones that you think sometimes aren't, it could go either way. They, shock you. I
say it's, when we get a really good one, if you have a really good gut feeling, obviously, one of the advantages I think I have in my role as being the GM is you can kind of stack the deck in your favor a little bit too. Hey, we're going to do this promotion, but we're going to, I can look back and go, hey, historically, this is a pretty darn good day for us. Like you can be in the best position to succeed. We've definitely had some thinkers here for sure. And I think going back to my time before Lansing here, and you have a little bit less risk because you're not in these, larger venues and you're not putting as much money behind the promotion. I mean, I've had some bombs. I think probably the worst one I've ever done. I did a grow your own furniture night when I was in Martinsville, and we were sponsored by a furniture company. We're like, we're going to give away trees to people and do this environmentally friendly, and this whole pun, like grow your own furniture down the line. Nobody got it. People didn't do trees. It was just a disaster.
But what other job could you just come up with crazy stuff like that and put it out there? I mean, that's why I love minor league baseball. Being in other sports like soccer, hockey, arena football, you would do promos, but not to the extent creativity that baseball does. I mean, minor league baseball is it's pretty cool for that. I love it.
It is, and it's taken off too. I mean, I remember a time early in my career where crazy promos and all that kind of stuff was really relegated to minor league baseball. And it was kind of, I don't want to say it was looked down upon, but it was kind of scoffed at the college or professional ranks. And it was kind of like, hey, we don't need to do that kind of stuff here. We're going to go do this and do our thing. And then, it's changed in the last 3 or 4 years. And I've had, more people reach out. And obviously part of that is the challenge of getting butts in seats. But I think people are going, hey, the promotions and the crazy stuff that can add to the experience for people coming to the facility. And, what these guys have been doing in minor league baseball for 20, 25 years, even beyond that, this is transferable. And you start seeing colleges do some fun stuff, and NFL and NBA. And, I think back to the Atlanta Hawks doing a swipe right night. And you never would have saw an NBA team try something like that. That would have been totally frowned upon. And I think, baseball and really pioneered some of those early crazy ideas going back to Bill Veeck. And hey, let's push the envelope a little bit and see what kind of headlines we can make, because we're not going to compete with some of these other bigger entities.
Yeah, no, it's true, but it is good to see the other ones kind of getting more creative in that. And again, I think it goes back to just teams have to be creative to get fans, even at the major league level. And, especially if you're not in the top, 10% of the leagues, it's definitely a challenge. So
what about you? I'm going to flip that. What's the craziest one you've been a part of?
Promotion. Had a team, owned the team for 1 year, sold it. Canton Cougars.
Okay.
Arena football, Canton, Ohio. We did Cougar night. So anyone, I don't know if it was any women over 40 got in free. And I mean, it's not like we, had thousands and thousands, but we had women come up to the box office proudly showing how old they were, all makeup up, dolled up. It was funny. And so it was just something a little different.
Pretty cool. I like that.
But yeah, we played that same year, we played a team from Saginaw, which isn't far from you guys. And they were the number one team. I think they won the championship that year. We were the last place team. We didn't win at all. And I guaranteed a win. And we ended up winning in the last seconds of the game. And I remember cleaning their locker room, kind of going through it after the night. And they had all the news articles posted up, because I just was trash talking constantly we didn't win a game. We sucked. Yeah. I was like, what can I do to get fans to at least come out? So
that was your Flint Tropics Mega Bowl.
Yeah. Wow. The one of my favorite movies, by the way. And my team that I started in Florida, a soccer team, I called them the Tropics.
The Tropics, that's awesome.
And then I did an updated logo from, basically from that concept, and I matched their uniform. So their basketball uniforms had a little thing. Yeah. So we did that on our soccer uniforms.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, we always still joke around about the corn dog scene, I think, in that movie.
Corn dogs, Jackie, corn dogs. Yeah. No, Tyler, man, thanks for joining me, man. It was fun chatting with you. I'm going to try to get up there sometime too. I'd like to check out the ballpark. It looks pretty sweet, just with, kind of the city around it and, those apartments. So
happy to have you here anytime. And Andrew, appreciate the chance to come on and talk some sports and background, and big fan of the show and everything you're doing. And, keep doing what you're doing right now. You're helping a lot of people get their name out there, and a lot of people right now too get some exposure with, their job status and trying to find the next fit for their career, because we have taken some punches here in the sports industry, and we need more people doing what you're doing. So,
yeah, no, I appreciate that, man. Thank you.